You know, a fully furnished apartment and all this clothes and a car and things, and I was not satisfied. And I knew that like I was meant for greater, and there was a permanent happiness out there somewhere.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Missions That Made Them. I am your host, Jason Verdelli. This isn't just a podcast, but rather it's a movement. It's a movement designed to make the world a better place by bringing more awareness to the great work of the people and organizations making a difference, and more importantly, how you can help. We live in a world today surrounded by a narrative in the media that focuses in on negativity and draws attention to the problems, but not the solutions. Our guests represent the solutions, not the problems. And with that, I am super excited today to introduce our guest, Tim Bradley, with Feed Starving People. And Tim, he's the founder of this organization, and what these guys are doing is absolutely incredible. I was on their website, had a chance to check out what they're doing with helping people around the world with again providing them with what is luxury to them, as they say on their website. With just basic needs as we would see it. So super excited to hear the story, and without further ado,
Thank you so much, Jason. I'm really grateful to be here, and it's just an honor to be even recognized for what your purpose is here on this podcast. So I'm just excited to be here.
Yeah. So, the big thing I always like to emphasize here is being part of the solution, and I think that's the key thing is having guests on that represent that. So, so let's talk about that. How you are the founder. Let's first talk about what the solution is. So tell everybody what Feed Starving People is about.
Feed Starving People Incorporated is a nonprofit 501c3 that brings long-term solutions to places of severe poverty via clean water, education for kids, agricultural development, and sometimes microfinancing if the shoe fits. About 10% of our funds goes towards immediate relief when we see like an urgent situation, sometimes called a Band-Aid. That's
incredible. Now, so tell me a little bit about, I know you're the founder of this organization, Tim, which I think is awesome. And, what made you start this?
I was backpacking Asia and Australia for like 18 months, actually, by myself. I sold everything, quit my career in marketing, and took a one-way flight to Bangkok, seeking like a new perspective on life. And I was seeking a lot. And at the end of the trip, I'd seen so much poverty through all these countries in Southeast Asia. And I wanted to do something before I left to go back home. So I did this Feed Hungry Cambodians food drive, where I said I was going to donate $100 of the groceries to a poor village. And if anybody wanted to contribute, I'll spend their money as well. And so that's how it began. I got a couple $100. I filled up a few tuk-tuks full of food from the grocery store, the market, and went to the poorest village I could find with a friend of mine who's local, and handed out all this food, took pictures and wrote about it and shared back to the viewers what I'd done. And people started sending me more money. And then I was like, as long as people send me money, I'll keep spending it and putting it where it belongs, and helping others. So it started out as a Feed Hungry Cambodians thing. And 6 to 8 months later, back home in America, kind of blown around like a leaf in the wind after 18 months of backpacking, not knowing what to do with my life. Someone was like, why don't you just go back to feeding hungry Cambodians? And I was like, you're right. That's like totally the last time I felt some real purpose and direction in my life. And I just didn't want to feed hungry people kind of thing. I'm hungry, nobody's so right. I wanted to do a little bit more long-term and people in severe need. And so that's where it started to evolve into what it is now.
So Tim, I'm intrigued by the story of the shift from, you had this career in marketing, and then you were, I guess you had this yearning to find purpose in life and so forth. Can you just go into that a little bit? I'm curious to see kind of what made that shift in you from going from this career to what you're doing right now.
Great question. It's a really important part of my journey, and I think everyone's journey, and I'm talking about the journey from the head to the heart, where in my early 20s, fresh out of high school, I wanted to chase money and fun. And I had a lot of what's referred to as object referral, where I sought external things to feel good. And by the time I was almost 30 years old, I had, a fully furnished apartment and all this clothes and a car and things, and I was not satisfied. And I knew that like I was meant for greater, and there was a permanent happiness out there somewhere. So that's why I sold everything, quit the career in marketing that was unfulfilling. Just the money just wasn't fulfilling. So that's why I took off and seek a new perspective.
That is so awesome. And what I admire about that is just that paying attention to that inner self, which I think is really, you found that at 30, but I'm 39 as I do this right now, and sort of the past, even starting this podcast, was a big inner self-reflection, saying, hey, you know what? There's a lot of objects out there that you can chase after, but at the end of the day, once you get them, it's really not fulfilling, like you said. So I can 100% relate to that. And but what's cool is that you've taken that even a step further. You're not just fueling your time and everything else into what you're passionate about, but also now you've built this amazing organization around that. So can you tell us sort of how, I know you mentioned about how people were sending in money, saying, hey, you would basically go and feed these starving people with that, and you do so good with it. But how did you grow? How did you grow past that initial point, that initial starting point to where you are today?
In November or December of 2012, and I decided to make this thing. I created a Facebook page called Feed Starving People, and I submitted papers to the state of Georgia to incorporate it as an official nonprofit. And I made a post. This is what I'm trying to do. If people are in support of it, show some support, and I'll keep going forward. I need to know that I'm on the right path. I feel like I'm on the right path, but I want to know what y'all think and what you would like to see and how you would like to see this thing grow. And so much of Feed Starving People was grown by direction and guidance from what I call angels. All these people showed up. Yeah. Hey, I saw your Facebook page. Can I build your website? I would really like to get behind what you're doing for free. I'd like to offer my services and build your website. Somebody else is like, would you like to get a 501c3? Are you trying to go big with this? I can help you with that paperwork. Somebody else showed up like, do you have, all these different documents that, solidify you? And other people would chime in and be like, don't just be a Band-Aid feeding people. Like, what's the long-term solution? What can you do to make a difference long-term in these people's lives so they are not reliant on you and they can be self-reliant? And these questions and these inputs from people just kept fueling me with so much work to do. It was phenomenal. Yeah. And they gave me all the direction I needed. I didn't know nothing. I didn't go to school about nonprofits. I never studied like poverty and how to solve hunger, so yeah, I just listened and allowed people really to guide Feed Starving People. And FSP has had a mind and spirit of its own. Like, I had visions for FSP in the beginning that we blew out of the water, in 3 months. I thought we'd maybe be there in 5 years, and FSP has just kind of grown in its own direction as it's wished. And I've been perfectly fine with that.
What do you see as I don't know. The question that's coming to my mind right now is, the driving force that made you shift to this purpose. And I guess, what do you see, though? What is your thought on why all these things happened? You had the website. People wanted to do your website. People having up with the paperwork, and it's almost like you attracted. And people talk about the law of attraction and everything like that, but it's like, what are your thoughts? Like, what force do you think is really behind that? Is it, can you tell me more about that?
Well, one of the questions that I get asked a lot is this a religious organization? And I always say, no, it's not. We're not affiliated with any set religion, but don't be confused. This is 1000% a God job. It was divine intervention in my life that inspired me to go feed some hungry Cambodians. And it's been, a complete God job ever since, changing my life, and having such a massive impact on me in ways that I never imagined. And so many other volunteers and members of this organization, like so many people besides the impactees have been impacted, by being a part of this organization. So a lot of I learned from this experience that being inspirational is like the greatest compliment and experience, that someone can give me. And so I've been inspired, and then my work has inspired others, and that drives me so much to keep going and doing. And, it's been amazing.
What, with the inspiration that you're providing, do you have a story that kind of comes to mind as you think about that?
Yeah, there's a lot. So
sure, there's a lot of them. Yeah,
I pulled up. I don't know if I can turn my camera around. I cannot. No. Can you see this picture of Bianca right here?
Yes.
Okay, so this is Bianca in Kenya. That's a water tank that she donated on behalf of Feed Starving People, and she's wearing her tank top out there. Bianca saw what I was doing in Kenya, helping these kids. That's also actually a picture. That's a picture from the slum. This right here. That's the slum that she's in. It gives you an idea of the level of poverty there.
Wow.
She saw me there. I took that picture and was like, I want to do this. Like, I am so inspired by your work. Like, what do I do and how do I do it? And this has been my favorite part of Feed Starving People is I get this call a lot. And sometimes these stories like Bianca's, just that the stars align and the story comes together and the experience that they have is unreal, So Bianca, like many people who've volunteered for FSP, said, what do I do? How do I do it? And I love guiding volunteers. I love that phone call saying, how much do you want to donate? Like, not you personally, but how much do you want to raise? And what's your project amount? How much time, how much money do you want to spend donating your volunteer time to FSP? And, she may have said $5,000 and I can be there for a week. And I say, what are your passions? What draws you with FSP? And I think she said, something about clean water, our clean water efforts that really, mean so much to her. And so I map out all the details and logistics of, her putting this water filter system here, for these kids in this slum. And, so I tell her, okay, it's gonna be $5,000, but I'm going to encourage you and coach you on how to raise $5,000. I have the money in the bank for FSP, but you have the power to raise this money on your own and help us out too. And us not drain our savings because we're not a big money organization. But if you get to 3,500, I got that other 1,500 for you. No worries. I got whatever you don't get. You just do your best. Tell your friends, tell your family, just keep talking about what you're doing. Keep talking. Be obsessed with your mission. It's your mission, and I'm here to coach you and guide you there. And to see her get there 6 months later with 5,000 plus raised on her own, and then spend it all, and then have leftover money that she wasn't even able to get rid of and donate it to the charity, for us to continue filling that water tank. Every 3 months when it empties, the money was in the bank to just keep refilling it, and keep providing these kids clean water. What a story, so many. I've got so many stories like this.
Yeah. Well, and you're empowering people to make difference too. So, right, like your organization has the ability to serve, but what you're doing, which I think is really, and I it's so congruent with my mission here with this podcast, which is I believe that people have the ability independently to make difference happen. You empower somebody to make that difference. If you, whether it's sharing a video like this, or whether it's just talking positively about something, you have the power to be a part of that difference as an individual, and you don't need to worry about, oh, is my government doing this for me, or is my company going to do this for me? You as an individual can make that change, and what you're doing is you're empowering those individuals to make that change, which is incredible.
And it's like one of the best blessings for me. It's given me so much purpose and direction in my own life, and so much feeling of fulfillment, to be a part of seeing somebody, do something like live out their dreams, and do something that they, were afraid to do. To watch people live to their edge. This is scary stuff, we don't, like people want to go to Africa to see a safari, not cruise through Slum Makuru looking like that, right? So I really admire these people, that want to spend their free time and their money, because like, again, we're not a large organization, as far as money goes. So like me included and all volunteers, we have no employees yet. We all pay our own way, our own flights and our hotels. FSP doesn't cover that stuff. About 95 to 98% of the money for FSP goes towards the cause, because we just don't have the money to be like,
98%.
Yeah, 98. We don't have too much overhead, no employees. But we're working on getting there, and I'll get into that if you want to when we get there.
Yeah, that's great. Well, and I think it goes to show too. I mean, you started this organization because you truly wanted to help people, and that's really the core. That's the core of the apple, and everything else is being like you started with when you start with that great foundation, everything else comes, right? You attract the way. You attract the way because people are also they're attracted to what you're doing, and they're like, people that listen to this podcast, it's like, hey, get out, find a way to support an organization, be a part of something that you believe in, and it's going to help you give a bigger purpose. I mean, one of the best, people always try to find purpose in life, but if you just try to find it, I don't think you're ever going to find it when you're looking. It happens when you're feeling, and when you can connect with an organization like yours that is already doing these things, man, is it a fast track?
Yeah, right? It is. That's right.
Yeah. So what are some of the ways that people can support you, Tim, I guess, with the effort? I know you have the website, feedstarvingpeople.org. So can you tell everybody how they can become part of the solution here?
Sure. So anybody can email me what they're interested in, how they're interested in helping. info@feedstarvingpeople.org or tim@feedstarvingpeople.org works just fine. But I definitely need volunteers with like social media marketing. I need volunteers on the ground, if they want to go and do a mission like Bianca, and that, that's always available. Donating is huge. To that note, recently, about a year ago, I set up a separate bank account called the admin account. And this bank account, Feed Starving People business account, is for the admin costs. And so the original bank account is now the missions account. And 100% of the missions account goes towards the cause now. So people donate to this account and all their money goes to that. If anybody wants to donate to the admin, we're slowly saving up. And actually, we have like 5 months of a very small salary in the bank for me to start working for FSP. I would love to go full time and start, marketing and running missions now that we're kind of getting through this pandemic. And I'd like to make it my life to build this thing up and get it off the ground. And so, yeah, we've set that up like that. And what I'm going to be hoping to do is raise enough in this admin account to start bringing on board some social media, and website, because the website and the Instagram are behind. I know they look great and we've got a lot going on there, but man, that's only covering like 25 to 30% of all that we've done. And it's because I've got all this content and I don't know how to build a website. I don't know how to do it, correctly. So I need a lot of help there. Maybe some college students that are, in marketing degrees would like to intern and donate some time as well.
Well, I think, yeah. So obviously donating your dollars, but donating your hands
Yep.
too is a huge big help here, and especially with what you're doing. I think one of the best things that you can do as a listener, as a viewer of this podcast, is to do this, to support the organization. One of the best feelings you can get is by learning about organizations like this that are making a huge difference. Right? You don't hear about these stories on the news.
Right.
Why is that? Because, again, there's attention. Negativity draws attention.
Yeah.
But do we want to live in a world where we're driven by negativity? We're driven by something that fuels somebody else's business model, right? If negativity draws attention, and attention draws viewers, and viewers draw, viewers draw an audience, and that draws advertisers and everything else that goes along with increased viewership. Well, guess what? The problem is that we, as the people, we are the ones that are subject to that, and sort of subject to the additional advertising, because we made the choice, not because of the companies out there, not because of the media companies, but because we made the choice to be able to listen to them versus spending your time. Take another 30 minutes instead of watching the news or whatever you want to call it. Take those 30 minutes and find out a way. Go to feedstarvingpeople.org to find out a way to get involved.
Yeah.
I mean, that's part of the solution, I think, is if we all can do that and collectively do that, that's where the change starts to happen.
Yeah, I can't.
So I think also,
I can't agree enough.
Go ahead.
And it's just amazing how much a little bit goes a long way. And I think that's where a lot of people get confused. Like, I don't have anything to donate. They don't want to donate $5. They've got $5. They want to donate like 1,000, but they don't have 1,000. So they're like, I just don't have much to give right now. So I'll hit you back when things are better. And it's like, no, your $5 goes a long way. Just give 5. Just give 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Just give a post, give a share, give a shout out. You don't have to go to Africa and install water tanks to feel fulfilled and be useful to feed starving people. That's a lot, that's an extreme distance. A lot of people I just don't have that, I don't have time for that. And there's a lot going on in the world. So, oh my God, the nickels and dimes have really carried us through. There's been some big donors over the time, but it's nickels and dimes that has really carried this tidal wave of work.
Well, and I think it's the fact that sometimes people look at donating and everything else. I think that if I can't donate $1,000, I'm not going to make much of an impact. So why donate $5 or why donate $10? But at the same time, if 1 million people did that, and given everything you've described with your organization, and people, you're going to feed the hungry. And you're going to feed, like you said earlier, not just the hungry, you're feeding the starving people. Yeah. You're starving the people that, it's not a short-term thing, it's a long-term problem. That's the real epidemic, as I see it, is that that's the problem with the epidemic of hunger. And that's, but again, if you're sitting at home and you're listening to this out on your run or whatever it is that you're doing, then that's where I think, being part of, you can make that change right now. You can make that change by, again, going to the website, or again, like you mentioned, clicking share, and learning about these stories and being part of that movement. And you've created a movement, Tim. I think that you've, with just again, the reason why you've started the organization, but you've attracted everything else. Yeah. Along the way, which is an awesome story, right? It's just crazy. You follow your passion, you follow something that makes that you've been wanting to do, or something that's deep down inside. At first, maybe that's something that wasn't necessarily something that you're looking at fueling your pocketbook, but at the same time, you're doing it because it's the right thing to do. And sometimes, the world and the universe has sort of a weird way of working itself out when you do that, right?
100%. I am a big believer of the law of attraction. Also, very much the law of giving and receiving. It's one of my most favorite, laws of spirituality. And my mom taught me, one of the things that burned into my head when I was young was, she said, just do what you love and the money will come. And I think my mom was tired when she said that. She was just tired and been working so hard. Just pounding the pavement trying to provide for us, you know. And she said, just do what you love. Don't worry. Don't chase the money. Chase your dreams. Chase your heart. And wow, was she right, you know? And so I've never just done this, you know, for the money. You know, it's a dream of mine to work for my charity, because I would be doing, you know, what I love as a living. You know, not because you know, I have dreams of being rich, although, you know, like it's a stigma that like you can't do well, like what I'm not worthy of a nice paycheck because I do charity, you know, it's not true. Right. And that's another part of the journey, that I've had to get over in my head is that like, it's okay to like earn money and do charity work, you know, like why aren't teachers paid more? You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Like, this is like the most important thing in the world and it pays the least. You know, like, so.
Well, and that's really where I think if you're distributing, you know, there's a value system, right? Money to me is nothing more than a value system. It's a value exchange. So but it's measured on impact, right? So if you're, you know, if we can support you and your effort, and you are the master employee in the organization that you have employs amazing people which are doing some incredible work, then guess what? What kind of impact can that make on the world?
Yeah.
You know, what you know, think about the you look at some people, and I'm not trying to down anybody in the world, but at the same time, you look at some people in corporate America that are making a couple $100,000 a year, miserable.
Right.
Absolutely miserable. And I've met people like this throughout my career and throughout my life. And it's like, yeah, they're making tons and tons of money. But the problem is they're not fulfilled.
Right.
They're not fulfilled at all. And they realize, okay, I got a lot of extra money in the bank or in this and that. But it's like, okay, buying that extra car, is that really? Nope, that's not it. That's not going to get you there. Yeah. Maybe, if I buy if I buy a bigger house, no, that's not it. Because then you sit in the house and you realize you've got more empty space with friends not to put in it. Because you're spending all your time. Right. But if you can think about if we, as a movement, though, if we employed those people and paid those people appropriately, that are actually making a change. And man, if you can be a part of that, doesn't mean you have to go over there and change, like put in water tank systems and everything like you mentioned. But even if you're staying at home, you have a regular job.
Yeah.
And you love your 9-to-5 job. It's a way you pay your family, but then you can get involved in an organization like this in some way, some fashion, or even just taking a part of your hard-earned money. So that person who makes a couple $100,000 a year, a couple $1 million a year, that's unhappy, can look at organizations like this and say, if I were to hire somebody and to make the world a better place, who would I hire? Mm-hmm. And if we all look at it like that, then it's a much healthier way to look at how we change the world. Wouldn't you agree?
100%. I mean, and to some thoughts on the original point that you were making in the beginning there, you know, like, what if we're doing, let's say, $20,000 a year right now with no employees, so we're putting 20 grand out into the world. We're helping $20,000 worth of people. That's actually quite a lot in these small countries, in these small villages that I'm going to. Like, it makes massive impacts, realigns the stars for people. But if I was, you know, pulling in 10 million a year and spending, you know, not 8 million, 8%, you know, 8 million towards the project, and, you know, $1 million or $2 million towards employees, and we're impacting $8 million versus 20,000. Yeah. Like, everybody deserves to get paid. Like, it's a no-brainer. Yeah. You know, we're making a huge difference, and people are getting paid and living lives that are fulfilling and impacting, and then the ripple effect, the inspiration effect from around the world.
Yeah. And it comes
priceless.
Full circle too. If you know, for those people that, if you can be a part of that movement, and you're taking $5, $10, $20 out of your paycheck every month and treat it like a tax. That's one thing I listen to a lot of other podcasts versus just doing them. And one of the things I learned, listen to, is like, if you treat, I can't remember, I think it might have been Tony Robbins that said this. He's like, if you take a certain amount every single month and you treat it like a tax. You don't mind when the government takes money out of your paycheck, and you're like, okay, well, yeah, they take it out and it goes towards our defense and everything else. But if you treated changing the world. What if you had a change the world fund
Mm.
for yourself? If everybody had that, I don't know how many people are in America, these, whatever, hundreds, a couple 100 million. Like, if every single person did that, maybe not every single person, that's, because my 4-year-old isn't going to do that at the moment, but the, if 1 million people did that,
Yeah.
and said, hey, we would give $10 as a tax. You take $10 out of your pay, put it aside. We have no problem spending $10 on, well, I don't even think it pays for half a subscription on Netflix right now. We have no problem doing that. But what if we took that $10 as a movement? We took millions of people doing that.
Yeah. And
you had 100, say you had, $10 million, they give $10. It's 100 million. Look at $100 million do, Tim.
Oh my God.
To start to feeding starving people.
Oh my gosh. Like I'd be blown away, and like what we could do is just beyond comprehension, and I would be so busy with so much good and impacting so many lives. Again, I can't express enough that one of my greatest experiences is how many people we've touched and impacted in these places of severe poverty, but also how many people that have been a part of Feed Starving People have said, like, this changed my life. Like, you really inspired me to do this. I'm going home and I'm going to do this now. And they started like a whole new track and a whole new path. And they're on this massive, fulfilling track. So this effect goes in so many directions. It's great.
Yeah. And I think for those of you out there, you can be a part of this right now by clicking share, clicking share on this video, subscribe to the channel. Be sure to go to feedstarvingpeople.org. I mean, they have an incredible website which goes over everything that they do, all the missions, everything like that. I think, connecting with feed starving people out onto through social networks and everything else. I think this is you can start right now just by hitting share. Right. And then the next thing is I might really strongly advise, I think if we could get 1 million people, I would love to get this video out to 1 million people to say, hey, Tim, I want to use you right now as this example. So whatever today is, I don't know, March 1st of 2022, we are going to get 1 million people to share this video. So if 1 million people, and it starts with one person, can share this video, give $10 a month to feed starving people. Again, all it takes is sharing. So if you have friends, if you have 10 other friends, that's huge. So if we take that, we do 10, everybody does that. If we can get 1 million people to do this, then 100 million, we get to raise $100 million, where a majority of all of that here, I think we could solve true problems countrywide, if not worldwide. At that level, especially with organizations like yours, which are doing so good, and again, a majority of those, of every dollar that comes in is going right out to the services. And also paying people good that are doing good too, right? Not paying them non-profit rates. We're paying people that actually can really make an impact and make money a non-issue. Because again, if we should be paying our teachers more. We should be paying these people that are making an influence into the world a lot more. Absolutely. So we don't think twice about a CEO who makes $8 million a year. Right. We don't think twice about when we buy their product every single time when it goes into our house. It's on our shelf.
Yeah. Imagine a social media, degree, comes out of college, and he's got 2 paths: Snapchat or Instagram. I could work here, make 120 grand a year. Feed starving people, changing the world, 120 grand a year. I'm gonna go over here. Why? It's like a no-brainer. Like if we were just offering the same, people would be like,
Do you? I'm gonna relay this back to hair because I'm 39 going on 40, and you don't see the back of my head as I'm continuing to lose hair back here. But also the question is hey, do you want to do you want to live a longer life? I mean, that's the other thing too. If you're in something that's fulfilling and you attach yourself to a deeper meaning, I truly believe that you live a longer life. I mean, you have less stress associated with that because you're not going to some job that you hate because you did it for the money. You're going into an organization like, as you mentioned, though, I think it's 100% right to be able to pay those people livable wage, not just livable wages, but good money to do great work.
Yeah.
So I think that we got to get over that stigma just because you work for a nonprofit.
Right.
The nonprofit can make the choice how much they pay their people and how they compensate their people. So if they truly want to make a difference, they need to invest in the right people.
Yeah.
So I think but I think at the end of the day, million people, this video, we need every single person to share this with at least one other person that you know. And I'm going to use this as a project. I want to see $10 a month from 1 million people, and go back to this video and let's just say a year from now.
Yeah.
And let's see if we can raise. I think we can raise $100 million by sharing this video.
And on that note, like, I just want to say, like, we're celebrating 10 years this year. We incorporated December 23rd, 2012. Feed Hungry Cambodians, the seed of FSP, happened in June of 2012. So we are celebrating our 10-year anniversary this year. And like, one of my most prided parts of this charity is our transparency. So to these viewers, and if we're going to share this and get to 100 million, transparency is my biggest thing, and why we've been successful and why we have so much support from those that have seen us. Everybody's just like, I know what y'all are doing. I know where the money's going. I know it's going, towards a good cause. And I know it's going towards a long-term solution, to poverty, like literally changing people's lives. These 8 kids right here, if you can see that, those are like some of the kids in Cambodia that we've been putting through school for like 7 years. And literally they came from orphanages and, really, really terrible backgrounds. And now they're all speaking English and stuff. And they're emailing me, Mr. Tim, I need computer. I'm trying to go to college next year. I'm like, okay, whatever you need for your educational efforts, like, I will provide. I have committed, to so many little projects like this, and, sharing that and getting to that number mark is worth the while. Like, it's going in the right direction, because that's like a big hurdle in this business, is people are like, I don't know if I trust it, and that's huge.
Well, when you also see you in the pictures over there, which I think is really cool on your website. I mean, you can see that you're in the work. Your hands are dirty, right? You're there.
Right.
And the examples of that, I think, by sharing that on the social media and everything else to show the actual work, then you can see where you're $10. That's it. We start with 10. If you would get more than 10, obviously that's even better too. But if everybody just took it as $10, and we had 1 million people doing it, I think that, and then obviously they're supporting you, I think, with pictures, keep pumping it out on the social media, keep going. And where people can follow that. I think that's where, and if we treat this, again, I'm using Tony Robbins, just pulling this out of something I listened to him say, which I thought was brilliant, which was treat that like a tax. If you believe in this, you believe in this organization, you believe what Tim's doing. This is an organization that's starting from the ground up and has done this. Yeah. So, I mean, we need to support more organizations just like yours, but I think if we treat that money like tax, right? We treat it like Netflix, like Hulu, like everything else out there that we mindlessly spend money on. Yeah. Sometimes we don't, yes, it's for entertainment and everything else, but what money do you spend right now every single month that goes into making the world a better place? What money do you distribute to people and organizations that are making a better place? And I'm sure there's plenty of people that are listening to this that say, yeah, I donate here, I donate there, I donate there. But do we treat it as a tax? Do you treat it, you don't mind money coming out of your paycheck and seeing those dollars roll out? Here's your gross, here's your net, right? If we treat that, man, what a better feeling at the end of the year, difference. Especially with the transparency that your organization's doing, Tim. I'm in. So you got me. Thanks, got me.
Jason. So thank you so much.
I'm one. I need 999,000 more.
We're on our way
to get our goal here.
All right.
So, well, Tim, you've been a pleasure. Is there anything that you want to say before we hop off?
Just want to say thanks so much for having me, and to everybody who's donated and supported and volunteered to FSP this far. Like, I am just the heart that drives this thing. Like I'm not even the face. The face of FSP is all the volunteers and all the people impacted. And I'm just blessed and humbled to be the heart that drives this thing. And, thank you so much to everybody who's watching this and about to share this and donate, coming forward, because you're literally making a huge difference in the world.
Thanks, Tim. Yeah, I appreciate that. And, you have the ability as the listener here to, again, be part of this solution. So, right now, please, three things is be sure to like this video, so share the video out. Be sure to subscribe to the Missions That Made Them so you can tune in to hear future stories. Tim, I'm going to have you back on, talk about some of the specific stories and what has changed and how many more, how we're doing to get to that million person mark. And, but I think everybody has the ability to be a part of that change. We don't need to wait. We can do it right now. And Tim and his organization is just one way of doing that. So I think I would urge everybody to support. So with that said, Tim, thanks for coming on, and everybody tune in next time.